The film begins with Joe in a motel where he works as a hired gun, specializing in rescuing trafficked girls. After completing a job, he meticulously cleans up any evidence of his presence before leaving. While walking through an alley, he is ambushed by a man, but he quickly overpowers him. Joe then takes a taxi to the airport and uses a public phone to inform his handler that the mission is complete. Back home in New York City, Joe notices a boy named Moises smoking on an emergency stairwell with a friend across from his apartment complex. Joe lives with his ailing mother, the only person he has in his life. A former FBI agent and Gulf War veteran, he suffers from PTSD, haunted by flashbacks. In one memory, he gives a candy bar to a child, only to witness another boy shoot him over it. In another, he discovers a storage unit filled with the bodies of trafficked girls. He is also tormented by memories of his abusive childhood, hiding from his violent, alcoholic father. Suicidal thoughts plague him, and he often toys with a knife, suffocates himself with a plastic bag over his head, or stands on the edge of train tracks, contemplating ending his life. Joe visits a bodega, where he spots Moises again. He is there to collect his payment from Angel, the middleman between him and his handler. Joe warns Angel that his son, Moises, saw him returning home the previous night, suggesting the boy has some awareness of Joe's activities and where he lives. Uncomfortable with this, Joe decides to sever ties with Angel, gives him his share of the money, and leaves. At home, Joe enjoys a lighthearted moment singing with his mother while they clean silverware. Later, he meets with his handler, John McCleary, and informs him that he no longer wants to work through Angel, opting to find a new middleman instead. John then presents Joe with a new job, recovering the daughter of State Senator Albert Votto, who ran away after her mother died by suicide years ago. Votto doesn't want law enforcement involved due to his political ties with Governor Williams and is willing to pay $50,000 in cash for his daughter's safe return. Joe later meets with Votto at the Union Club to discuss what he knows about the situation. Votto reveals that his daughter, Nina, is likely being held at a specific location known for trafficking girls. Joe provides an address where they can meet once the job is completed, and Votto insists that Joe make the men responsible suffer. After spending much of the afternoon gathering supplies, including a ball-peen hammer, Joe tracks down the location of the child trafficking house where Nina is being held. To prepare for his entry, he ambushes and interrogates a man coming in and out of the building, forcing him to reveal the security door code and details about the number and positions of the guards inside. Once inside, Joe ruthlessly eliminates the guards with his hammer, showing no mercy. He even kills a naked client before finally finding Nina lying on a bed. Carrying her on his back, he takes her to his car and drives to the designated meeting point. While waiting, Nina thanks Joe for rescuing her and unexpectedly kisses him. Uncomfortable, Joe gently pushes her away, assuring her that she doesn't need to do that. As time passes, Joe realizes that Votto isn't coming. He takes Nina to a motel, expecting her father to show up, but then sees a news report on TV, stating that Votto has apparently died by suicide, having jumped to his death. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door, one of Votto's men, but before he can act, the man is shot from behind by two corrupt police officers. One of them takes Nina away, while the other attempts to kill Joe. However, Joe fights back, ultimately choking the cop to death. With Nina gone, Joe leaves the motel and immediately tries to contact McCleary to find out what's going on. Joe heads to McCleary's house, but finds it empty. Taking McCleary's car, he drives to his office, only to discover that McCleary has been brutally tortured and killed. On his desk, Joe finds Angel's contact card and tries calling him, but there's no answer. Meanwhile, the assassins have also executed Angel and his son, Moises. Fearing the worst, Joe rushes home, only to find his mother murdered in her bed while she was sleeping. He soon realizes that her killers are still inside, lying in wait for him. Joe quickly gains the upper hand and shoots both men. One of them, still barely alive, crawls on the floor in agony. Joe gives him a painkiller and demands answers. He asks which of them killed his mother and whether they were also responsible for Votto's death. The dying hitman reveals that Votto wanted out and had been working with Governor Williams, who was particularly obsessed with Nina, referring to her as his favorite. As he takes his final breaths, the hitman starts singing along to a song playing on the radio, holding Joe's hand as they both lie on the floor. Joe then wraps his mother's body in plastic and drives her to a lake. Overwhelmed with grief, he gently lays her to rest in the water before filling his pockets with stones and attempting to drown himself. As he sinks deeper, he has a vision of Nina, which jolts him back to reality. Driven by a renewed sense of purpose, he swims back to the surface, determined to finish what he started. In his mind, Joe pieces everything together. Votto and Governor Williams were both involved in a child sex trafficking ring. Votto had sold Nina to Williams in an attempt to gain his favor, but the guilt of his actions ultimately drove him to suicide. Determined to finish what he started, Joe begins tracking Williams across the city until he discovers his destination, Williams' home. Armed with his hammer, Joe breaks in and eliminates the guards before making his way upstairs to Nina's room. However, when he arrives, he finds Williams already dead, his throat slit. Overcome with emotion, Joe removes his shirt and begins to weep. Descending the stairs, he starts hallucinating, first seeing his mother sitting on a couch, smiling at him, then seeing himself as a child. In the dining room, he finally finds Nina, calmly eating with bloodied hands and a bloody razor beside her, suggesting she was the one who killed Williams. Later, Joe takes Nina to a diner for a meal. As they sit together, she asks where they're going next, but Joe doesn't have an answer. When she steps away to the bathroom, Joe, exhausted and overwhelmed, envisions himself shooting himself in the head. No one in the diner reacts, as if his death means nothing. However, when Nina returns, it's revealed to be just a hallucination. Joe is still alive, slumped over, drained from everything he's been through. She looks at him and says they should leave because it's a beautiful day. He agrees, and the film ends with their booth now empty. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.